It has now been revealed that the Indian Air Force scored another major victory over Pakistan, but this time it was behind the scenes. In a stunning display of electronic warfare brilliance, the Indian Air Force has reportedly captured all the digital fingerprints of Pakistan's top fighter jets, including the JF-17 and the J-10Cs, made by our favorite regional bully, China. Essential to neutralizing adversary systems, the data haul includes signal behavior under combat stress, frequency hopping patterns, radar acquisition cycles, and thermal emission profiles, which is also used in formulating strategies for suppression of enemy air defenses operations or the SEAD operations. So the Indian Air Force not only destroyed terror camps deep inside Pakistan and at least 10 Pakistan air bases, cracking open its Chinese air defenses, it also achieved this major game-changing intelligence victory that will decide the outcome of any future air war. This report in DefenseSecurityAsia.com quotes an Indian defense official, revealing, quote, "The successful capture of those electronic and digital signatures is expected to significantly enhance India's defensive capabilities while also enabling New Delhi to share critical technical intelligence with its strategic partners," unquote. Now, this means that Indian missiles can be fine-tuned in advance to detect and track any Pakistani fighter jets. As electronic emissions from Pakistan's frontline Chinese-origin weapon systems were recorded and mapped by Indian radar arrays, as well as ELINT or electronic intelligence platforms operating all along the border. So how did India pull this off? And what does this mean for Pakistan's Chinese-built air power? Remember, in the recent conflict, on day one, the Indian Air Force did not even fire a missile towards Pakistani fighter jets. The mission of the Indian Air Force was only to eliminate terror bases situated in Pakistani territory, which they did. All this while successfully evading the Chinese PL-15 missiles, which are now being dissected, and its secrets may be shared with India's allies. So having gained such signal intelligence, when the Indian Air Force Rafale and Sukhoi 30 MKIs do use air-to-air missiles in the next conflict, they are sure to hit their mark. There will be no escape for JF-17s or J-10s when Indian jets fire their missiles. So Pakistan won't be just having its air bases redesigned thanks to the BrahMos. Even their jets would be vulnerable to the Astra or the Meteor, simply because the Indian Air Force already has identified all signal intelligence. Now, this is a significant leap forward in India's threat library compilation and electromagnetic dominance. Critical air-to-air and surface-to-air missile systems were also carefully monitored and tracked during aerial engagements. But how will this be used to enhance India's electronic warfare capabilities in future conflicts? Now remember, the Chinese PL-15 missiles are equipped with ASAR radars and are projected to have a no-escape zone exceeding 140 kilometers. Well, that's clearly not true, as debris of multiple PL-15 missiles were recovered, which simply failed to hit their mark. However, acquiring the Chinese missile technology will give India added edge in airborne missile warning, spoofing algorithms, and RF jamming profiles. Moreover, it will also help survivability of high-value assets like the Netra AWACS and the IL-78 refueling aircraft. As far as the Chinese-origin HQ-9 air defense system is concerned, India has it figured out like an old washing machine. In the recent conflict, India used its loitering munitions to destroy 2 HQ-9, including the one in Lahore. However, the HQ-9 operational frequency bands and radar pulse repetition intervals have also been recorded, allowing India to prepare countermeasures. Now, this can aid pilot training missions for the Indian Air Force in radar evasion techniques, simulate threat engagements, and pre-program mission computers for deep penetration strike missions against Pakistan's air defense network. Now, India's early warning network response time will also definitely level up after these developments. Just a few days ago, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval outrightly rejected any claims of any damage suffered by India during this conflict. In fact, Doval has challenged Pakistanis and gullible Western media to provide even one verifiable image of any damage suffered by the Indian military. But now officials say the EW intel gained will also serve as a cornerstone for counter-stealth radar upgrades, ASR-based jamming platforms, and homegrown missile guidance evolution. Meanwhile, these signatures are being incorporated by research agencies like the DRDO and defense manufacturers like Bharat Electronics Limited. Training simulators, radar threat assessment software, and AI-based detection algorithms will all be utilizing the tech collected by India to be on par with the best Western ELINT capabilities. Now, this intelligence is also expected to aid India's AMCA 5th generation fighter program, which requires sophisticated adversary signal libraries for developing advanced stealth countermeasures and multi-spectral threat detection. But can the information be used for export purposes? Now, there is a growing interest among New Delhi's strategic partners in gaining access to electronic and digital signatures of Chinese-origin weaponry scooped up by Indian air defense systems. A diplomat from an Asian nation engaged in a maritime dispute with China told Hindustan Times, quote, "All the information gathered by the Indian side would be of great relevance to many countries in the Indo-Pacific which encounter Chinese aircraft and weaponry in regions such as the South and the East China Sea and are preparing for possible hostilities involving such weapon systems," unquote. A defense official from a European nation acknowledged that France in particular would be keen to get an insight into the electronic and digital signatures of Chinese-origin weaponry gathered by India's air defense systems. He stated, quote, "The parameters of weapon systems can be reconfigured for export versions, but if only one has access to basic information of the Chinese origin equipment such as electronic signatures, a country's defensive equipment can be set up better to counter such threats," unquote. The Chinese missile failure leak suddenly turned into global interest. Apart from France and Japan, the United States, the UK, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia, which form the Five Eyes, sought data and access to the parts of the recovered Chinese missiles. The Five Eyes states wish to grab a unique opportunity to study key pieces of China's advanced weaponry system and evaluate why they failed in real combat. This includes gaining knowledge of the missile's radar signature, motor composition, guidance technology, and possibly even the elusive architecture of its ASR radar. Studying the missile parts will help these nations upgrade their own missile defense systems and develop countermeasures against future threats by knowing its limitations. The Five Eyes have long raised concerns of China's covert operations and intelligence theft, so this could be the chance to get back on par. As per the Stockholm International Peace and Research Institute, between 2020 and 2024, 81% of Islamabad's total imported weapons came from Chinese suppliers. Escalating India-Pakistan tensions proved to be the first real combat test for China's multi-billion-dollar defense modernization efforts. But the satellite images of damaged Pakistani airfields suggest that Indian military found a way to suppress and meet Chinese-origin air defenses. Reports indicated how Xi Jinping had sent PLA's largest military transport aircraft, the Y-20, carrying arms to Pakistan during its standoff with India. That included the contingent of the PL-15 missiles, the debris of which were later recovered from India. India has also changed its own military doctrine and announced any future acts of terror with links to Pakistan will be treated as acts of war. And the next time, there will be no holding back. Have your say. Should India share Chinese fighter jet and PL-15 intel with allies, including the Five Eyes? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.